remember most about my childhood is that normal everyday experiences for other families were not normal for my family. Things like going out for pizza, going to movies, even going to the grocery store. We tended not to do as a family. The reason is that my younger brother Rod was diagnosed with autism in the 1950s. And that was back when autism was virtually unknown. So this rocked my family in many ways, and it continues to shape us even today. So the story that I'm going to do for you today is from a memoir that I'm writing about growing up with my brother. And in this particular piece, my mother has agreed to let my older sister, Becky Ann, and I go to a matinee, a movie, which by ourselves, which was a big deal. But only if we take my brother with us. So she has just dropped us off in front of the cinema. The crowd, like a swift running current, pulled us forward. Within seconds, the three of us were swept through the glass entrance and deposited into the bustle of the lobby. Becky Ann pointed to a bench, pressed up against the wall, adjacent to the ladies' room. "Over there," she ordered. On high alert, we somehow knew our jobs. I herded Roddy to a spot on the bench and looked up to see Becky Ann dive into the waves of people. She called over her shoulder, "I'll get us tickets," and instantly was swallowed up and gone. A zing of worry circled my stomach, but I batted it away. The hot, tangy smell of buttered popcorn tangled with sweet stabs of Butterfinger bars, jujubes, and black licorice permeated my nose. The room was charged with energy. Kids my age and older swarmed in clutches of 3s and 4s, chattering and glancing around. I was inside a new world, one thrillingly askew where anything might happen. Surely the 9th grade boy I had just fallen in love with, Wynn Anderson, was here somewhere. I knew it. I could feel him. Roddy twitched, so slight, like the flick of an ear. I murmured, "It's okay. She'll be back." "Yes, Mozzie," he said darkly. His name for me, Mozzie, his way of saying Margie, was like many of his words. It left out letters that troubled his tongue like R and soft G. I was supposed to correct him when he did this, but at the moment, I couldn't care less about house rules. "Becky Ann's bringing CrackerJacks," I cooed. Roddy's shoulders bunched around his ears. He pulled on his lip. "Yes, Mozzie," he muttered. "And Fresca, too." "Fresca, too," he repeated, as if he hadn't heard. "Yes, Fresca." "Fresca." Little sparks of anxiety tickled my chest. Roddy's echo was never a good sign. Any moment now, he might start shouting and flapping his hands. Searching for Becky Ann, I scanned the crowd, but her pink-scarfed head was nowhere to be seen. Through the jumble of bodies, a blonde-headed blur of curly hair and a turned-up nose caught my eye. Was that Wynn? I crouched, not at all sure I wanted him to see me. Heart fluttering, I rose stealthily, stepping backwards, up onto the bench seat. The sea of heads swelled and swayed, forcing me up on tiptoe, and in small bursts of desire to see and not see, I hopped up and down on the bench. From the far side of the room, I must have appeared like an agitated fish, leaping above the crowd for a better look and plunging down each time I glimpsed a yellow-headed boy. Once I dropped so fiercely into a squat, the button of my pedal pushers popped and spun off into the carpet. I didn't want to bob this way. I wanted to stand still, long enough for Wynn to spot me and flash a smile. But I couldn't. If he came closer, he'd know who I really was. Not the girl who caught his fancy, but the other one, who lived in an unlucky family with a confounding boy. No one I knew harbored my secret, none of my friends or the families I knew at church. On my best days, I thought this might mean I was inside some tragic story, like Jane Eyre, for instance, my favorite character, who made her way forward despite odd family circumstance. But more often, it simply meant I was flawed, deep down, a place that felt black and bottomless. Floating there was something I believed and had never spoken of to anyone.